Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of With Conviction, a story of hope, horror, and history. My name is Rain, my pronouns are she, her, and I am your GM for this adventure. With me are my nearly victorious heroes for this campaign. Why don't you all introduce yourselves?
Hi there, I'm Alice. I play Desdemona Hartwood, and both of us use she and they pronouns. Desdemona is our Roseheart guardian. She's sort of a gothy, punky, magical girl with a heart of pink and apparently indestructible right now.
Hi, I'm Skylin. My pronouns are they and them, and I play Chris Whitlock, whose pronouns are she or any. Chris is our firebrand artillery, an extremely sportsy, magical not a girl who, despite being on the verge of victory, has a twisting instinct in her gut.
And I am Rob. My pronouns are he, him, and I play Eliza, whose pronouns are she, her. Eliza is our fiery, stalwart soul warrior magical girl, and she is currently unconscious, so we'll see if I get to be in this episode.
And you are currently unconscious because you have just been through quite a bit of a fight. Last time you engaged the rider in direct combat and hit him not only with a concealed pile of explosives, but also a brand new team attack that you all had concocted and practiced over time, and reduced him nearly to the verge of death. In the process, however, Eliza had been seriously injured, and Chris was driven nearly to that point as well, up until the moment that Hazel decided she wasn't waiting anymore. And when Chris opened a portal, she came through, backed by a horde of creatures of her own. And as armored boots touch down on the ground, you can see as white marble blossoms around them. It spreads through the dark, corrupted soil in creeping Lichtenberg patterns, turning the earth to a hard, unyielding stone. A coat of near liquid gold cascades down to her shins, its open front revealing ivory creases marked by gentle fluting. The coat's top is closed over an ivory cuirass, its long sleeves covered by pauldrons and vambraces of the same gleaming white. A sleek sallet protects her head, its slitted visor shielding her eyes from view. Her lips are set in a thin, determined line as she surveys the scene. And the rider looks up at her and snarls. And he doesn't say anything. He just throws Chris at her, and his last attack is going to be at Hazel with Chris.
Good lord.
Which is a full success. So he full on lifts you off the ground and bodily throws you into her. And she catches you in her arms and staggers backwards. And that is the end of his turn.
Is there any harm involved there?
She took harm. You did not.
Okay. So we're at the top of the round?
I believe so, yes.
I think this has to be Chris's go.
Yep, it's all you.
I'm not here, so yeah.
There's a moment where Chris breathes and leans into Hazel in whatever sort of hug she can give, and she then pulls her head back to look. Hazel, you can see. You don't need to roll for this. You know Chris well enough. Now you can see the rainbow of emotions that goes across her face. At first it's pride and love for her team, and then there's this twisting instinct that comes across her face, and it looks like betrayal, and then fear and pain, and then determination, a mixture of love and defiance. She says, Hazel, no, you're like him. Fuck this, I won't lose you, Hazel. And she drops to the ground. And I'd like to take that as Chris's light shift trigger for speaking a blunt truth.
Yeah.
Once Chris is on the ground, she dashes around the rider to Dez, handing off the sword, and works on trying to get out of the crater. She says, "Open a portal in his belly. I don't know if I can get a shot off yet." Can I use help for that?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So Chris has handed off the sword as a help action to Dez with the instructions to cut a portal in his belly, and is trying to leave the crater.
Then is that the rider's turn then? Riders go?
It is my turn now. Yes.
Yeah.
What do I want to do? No, I think I know what I want to do. Chris is still in the crater for now, and I'm going to take advantage of that. That is just enough. Thank God for bonuses. Another rifle crack sounds, and Chris, as you're climbing out of the crater, a shot comes down from the right side tree line as one of the riflemen shoots you. You take 2 harm.
As that shot passes through Chris, I think like Eliza's, we see an exit and an entrance wound, and we see Chris's form crack. In slow motion, their body bends backwards, and a glowing echo of her form remains in place as though she's being separated from her magic. There's a moment where Chris looks to Dez and mouths, "I got this." But maybe V said it, we don't know, all we can hear is the thunder in her ears. Time comes back and we see Chris's shoulders slam into the earth, followed quickly by his head, and that golden echo of her form snaps back into place, and it glows brighter and brighter and brighter until she burns to look at. Chris floats off the ground, horizontal at first, but slowly righted, becoming a beacon of light on the field, second only to Hazel. One last time, Chris converts that stress to conviction, and this time it takes her to her breaking point.
And as this light flares within you, Chris, you realize the light does not burn. Neither is it a soft, gentle light. It is firm and unyielding. It is mathematical certainty and perfection. It seeps into your hands, your nerves, your bones until it touches your very soul. It is within your grasp. You could take it. You could stop the rider in his tracks. You could help Hazel be by her side, conquering champions in this war. You wouldn't have to be alone. You could be perfect. And then something within your soul, drowning in the light, twists and snaps. The power, so ready for you to take hold of it, suddenly drains away. Light tears free of your body, howling in fury.
That power and pain surges through Chris's muscular form. She's rocked, and it appears like she might just simply shatter. Then that magic lifts her further off the ground, and that pulse of blinding light expands from her and outlines his body like an aura. Softball and volleyball formed chunks of earth rise to meet her sightline. They are supercharged and glow like sunborn meteors. Instinct drives sleek raptor's wings to curl, unfurl, and curl again, spinning her like a top. Her ponytail whips chaotically, hair glowing brightly as Hazel's armor. Determination sharpens Chris's smile. She says, "I will not give up." And all at once her arms and wings fly outward, slowing that tempestuous spin and launching her fury at the monsters before her team. I am the Beautio Dauntless, and I am your end!
So, as you tip into ruin, what zone are you targeting?
The crater.
The crater. Many things die in that moment. Brambles are torn apart like twigs in a hurricane. And I have 2 questions to ask you. The first is, do you consider Hazel an ally?
In this moment, Hazel is an ally. I don't think her monsters are.
Understood. The second question is, how do you kill the rider?
Have you seen the Perseid meteor showers?
I cannot say I have been so fortunate.
Stone after stone after stone burns in the atmosphere, wishes waiting for humans to take them and hold them close. And that's what we see here. Chris has created a meteor shower that tears everything but her dearest friends to smithereens. The only wish she has is to get her team out of this tough spot, and she will leave everything on the court to make it happen.
You don't see the aftermath of what you've done. You don't see the blasted field. You don't see the barely recognizable body because you're distracted in this moment. A memory flashes into your mind as reality settles back into its proper place. That dark, ether-soaked lair, the armored beast putting itself back together. Des fearful, you demanding, "Are you part of the team or not?" You hear your own voice, and you remember your team.
When Chris collapses from this effort, she looks shockingly frail. The love and pain on her face are for once visible as brown and white feathers fold around her spent form to soften her fall. And when it's over, he's simply laying there, that transformation broken. Defiance still on Chris's face, but no more energy left.
Des, you're the only one left standing in a position to see the rider mangled, broken, bisected. Half of his face was already torn away. His stomach was already cored out, and now his legs are gone. One of his arms is missing, and he is glaring up in your direction with utter hatred. And he reaches out with one shaking hand, pulling himself across the dirt, howling and cursing you until a portal that is not an eye, a portal that is not a mouth, opens beneath him, and he is pulled into the eternal dark. So that's my turn.
Can I describe for our audience what ruin is?
Yes, please. I was going to ask.
Please do.
I was thinking that as well.
Ruin is the artillery breaking point ability. It reads simply, when you reach your breaking point, choose a zone on the field. All enemies in that zone take stress equal to your current conviction.
So it's just Des still standing, huh? Des and Hazel?
It's all you now, hun.
What's happening to the remaining monsters? Not the ones that Hazel brought with her. The darkness monsters.
They seem to be going feral, lashing out at anything around them. This is mostly not a change of situation, except that now some of them are attacking each other as well. The crater is now clear. Most of the others seem to be engaged with the soldiers in the trenches, except for a handful in the right side tree line. And the ground begins to rumble under your feet. And the portal in the sky begins to close. You might not have a lot of time left in here.
I think Eliza at this point kind of staggers to her feet. She's still very shaky. But she just looks at Chris, looks at Des, looks at Hazel, and just says, "How did you Okay, let's talk about it over pancakes?"
I'd love that. Let's finish this first.
Actually, I think we get a quick shot of Eliza as she's starting to pick up the shaking, and she looks up at the portal that is not an eye starting to close, and we just see her say, "We need to get out of here." And then she looks off towards where the soldiers' camp is.
Des, what are you doing?
She says, "We'll get out of here in a second. Hazel, you gonna help me take these guys out real quick?"
I'd be glad to.
Okay. Then Des
Honestly,
take...
just to speed this along, I think I'm going to lift the slow requirement.
Okay.
Okay.
Just to make this fight go a little faster.
You did say that the crater is now like hard stone marble because of Hazel. So that
Only
would be...
under her feet.
Well, maybe it spreads.
It does spread like an infection.
Hate that. Thanks.
That's okay. If you're cool with it, she's going to, sword and shield in hand, barrel towards the remaining enemies.
Absolutely. So I assume your movement is into the right side tree line.
Yes,
Who are you attacking?
the riflemen, because they're not. They're going to be harder for the soldiers to engage. How many did you say there were?
There are 2 of the riflemen.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll hit one of them, slam into them with my shield.
All right.
That is an 11 total.
Okay. You slam into this thing and it almost disintegrates into ash and is just ejected from the force of this strike. It is just gone.
Perfect. Des barely even blinks, just stands again to get ready to smash the other one.
The other one is going to back away from you and try to escape. It is actually running toward the trench line because that's all it has. That's the only place it has to go. And it's going to take a shot at you.
Great. I love that.
And it rolls a 10 exactly.
Cool.
And because that is a complete success, it deals 4 stress total before any of your armor stuff that's going on.
Great. So that is down to 3 stress with what's it called? Guild?
Yes.
Cool. It hits Des and she just takes the impact.
Like a badass.
Mhm.
Takes like a single step backwards and glares at this thing.
And then Hazel dashes up like a blur out of the crater on top of this thing. 1, 2, her sword cuts. And this one too disappears in a fine mist. Chris, you remember your team. A small but comfy living room. The Matrix movies playing. Jesse talking to Des, then the request to you. Hey Chris, make sure Des is taking care of herself. Your promise. The doorbell rings. Eliza and Faith walk in. Hazel is not there. And it's the top of the round. Des, do you want to go or do you want Hazel to go?
It's a good question. All that's left are the 2 brambles.
There is one remaining enemy in the zone that you are in. It is the one with the flag. It looks like the surviving light monsters are tearing into the brambles.
Okay. So it's functionally just this one flag dude.
Yes.
All right. She stomps over towards the remaining enemy, this flag bearer. Her shield vanishes for a second, and she plants the rider's sword in the ground for just a second as she uses both hands to slam her shield down on this thing for a fight action.
All right.
That is a 9 total.
All right. 1 point of stress. You slam this shield down. It tries to block with this tattered flag in its hands, but the staff snaps in half and it crunches into this thing. It staggers, but doesn't fall yet. It snarls and its hand lashes out and tries to grab at your chest. And with a 7, its claws dig into your collarbone and you feel it starting to leach from you as it uses extract to deal a point of stress to you and gain conviction for itself.
Hey, question, how does that work when it doesn't deal any stress to me?
I keep forgetting that you do that.
Uh,
God, I love this.
so
It does not get any conviction.
So we see what should nail Des with these claws just like scrape against what sounds like glass as the golden aura surrounding her repels this attack.
It looks like cloth, but it sounds like glass. One might call it a barrier jacket. Sorry, I had to.
All right, well, Hazel's turn.
Hazel does not hesitate. She moves into your zone, strikes again, and with a full success, beheads this thing. And as it dissolves, Chris, you remember Hazel. Looking for someone you didn't know you'd lost. The empty room. The argument. And then finally, finding her in the midst of a fight. Her betrayed cry. Do you fucking believe me now, Chris? As the last of your identity settles back into place.
Chris is torn, broken, beaten, dirty. This fight used every last scrap of her ability. And yet, as those pieces fall into place, Chris staggers to their feet. Not giving up. Des, we gotta go! She falls to her knees again.
Hazel looks at you, Des. I've got Chris. Grab Eliza. Let's go.
Eliza is staggering. She's managed to clamber out of the crater, and she's just kind of staggering her way back towards where the soldiers' camp is.
The ground is shaking. It's almost impossible for you to walk with the beating that you have taken. Such damage to your body and the way that the ground is shaking under you, it is almost impossible to put one foot in front of the other. Hazel rushes down into the crater, scoops up Chris in her arms, and stands next to the portal as monsters in white swirl around her and begin funneling through it. Come on, let's go.
No, Tilly's still in here.
Des grabs the sword out of the ground where she left it and bolts through the air towards Eliza, grabs her around the waist, and goes,
No,
"Sorry, Eliza, we gotta go."
no.
And she cuts a portal, a second portal open, and leaps through with Eliza.
And Hazel steps through, carrying Chris in her arms. Through that portal, a few moments later, it shuts of its own accord. And you are standing on the bank of a river in the middle of 3rd Winchester Battlefield Park.
This is a park that we didn't remember existing before, right?
Correct.
That's what I thought.
Because it didn't exist. How can there be a park for a battle that didn't happen?
So my question is, do we remember that it didn't exist, or are we remembering that it has always existed, or how does that work for us?
You remember the actions you took according to what has transpired. But you also remember, maybe if you paid attention in history class, that there was a battle here.
Okay, well, Des definitely didn't, so that doesn't help her.
You would know it's a park at least.
Cool. Is Eliza sort of passing out now?
Yeah, Eliza, I think she wrenches herself out of Dez's grasp and is stepping towards the portal as it snaps shut. And then she just kind of topples sideways and lands on the ground in the dirt.
Hazel looks at you, Des, and then looks at the other two. Let's get back to the apartment.
We are... Eliza and Chris are coming with me. I'm going home. We're going to get patched up. You can come if you don't bring your grimaces at the light monsters friends.
Oh. Yeah, she waves at them, and they flutter off into the distance and sort of blip out of apparent reality.
Chris shifts in Hazel's arms.
Yeah, how conscious is Chris right now?
She's fading in and out.
Okay.
But she does shift and kind of curl into Hazel.
Hazel smiles. You sure we don't want to crash at the apartment?
Right now, Hazel,
Says,
yeah.
I can't lose her. Give me this moment. Hazel, you look down at Chris. And you can see this plainly. The horror of having part of her identity ripped apart. The panic you saw in her at the pool house. The frailty of Chris's form when the light broke them. All of that pales in comparison to the fear that is in her eyes now. You have never seen her like this. Chris's world was just rebuilt, and it is shattered when she looks at you. All of the fears that she had, you can tell now. Can't lose you.
Hazel pulls you close.
Those are probably the most true words you've ever heard her say. She looks broken.
You're not going to lose me.
Prove it to me.
Let's get you patched up first. So Hazel is suggesting that you go back to the apartment. Des, where do you want to go?
Des wants to go back to her family's place. Both of them know what's going on, and there's the guest room, and Des is not certain she trusts Hazel at the moment, so she'd rather have everybody in one location.
Okay. Do you walk? Do you fly?
Did we leave a car somewhere?
There's gotta be a car here somewhere, right?
Pretty sure.
We had to drive somewhere.
We usually take Eliza's car, it feels like.
Okay. Yeah, so the four of you bundle into the car. Hazel's appearance flashes for a moment, and she's back in the same street clothes that she was wearing at the beginning of the night.
Des, I think, is gonna locate the keys in Eliza's pockets.
With
And
their Bridget keychain.
beautiful, thank you. And she's gonna drive, and she's not gonna detransform. So we do get the excellent image of three normal people and one angry pink person driving them.
Amazing.
But yeah, she drives everyone back to her house and gestures for Hazel to get Chris while she helps Eliza get inside.
Unconscious and no longer struggling, Eliza is surprisingly light and easy to carry.
That's so concerning.
Des is not going to think about that for the for the moment, because yes, that is a little concerning, but yeah,
She's
carries
scrawny.
her in. Scrawny magical girl.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Where are Desdemona's parents?
It is the middle of the night,
Uh-oh.
so I think the first time you see them is as they're coming down the stairs, and your dad looks around and goes, "Oh my God. Oh my God, what?" Okay, just lay them down. Deb, can you go get a cot? A couple of cots? And she nods and goes off to one of the storage rooms, and he looks at you and looks at them. What happened?
We did our job. Everyone's okay, and will be more okay soon. That reminds me, Rain, does Des have Jesse's phone number? Actually, you know what? Des is just gonna take Chris's phone.
Yeah, go for it.
Des does also have Jesse's number.
Yeah, but she's transformed and may have had her phone on her. So I'm not certain she even has her phone right now. Once I get it unlocked, I text Jesse, "This is Des. Chris needs you," and sends the address of her family's place. We're gonna be okay, Dad, and Mom. We might sound a little weird. We just gotta spend some time with the people that are important to us, and we'll be right as rain. Um,
All right. It's kind of late at night. Who do you need me to call?
right. Oh God, we forgot Faith again.
Faith is still at Eliza's apartment.
Okay.
She doesn't have a car.
She doesn't have a car. Okay. I'm going to call our friend Faith.
Jesse can
Can't.
pick them up on the way if you want. Sorry, Jesse should probably be able to pick up Faith on the way.
That makes sense.
Okay. Tez grabs Chris's phone again to text Jesse a second time to go, "Hey, also, sorry, can you pick up our friend that we definitely didn't forget? Here's her address where she is right now."
Des. What's Eliza's address?
What's Eliza's address?
Yes, definitely knows that.
No.
What?
Does Eliza even have an apartment in the city? Chris, are you conscious right now?
Barely.
Hazel's face is pale as a sheet.
Chris reaches up, looks at her. Fix this.
Hazel swallows.
Fix it.
Yeah. And she turns and heads outside.
Still carrying Chris, I assume.
Well, Hazel had set you down. Are you going to insist on coming along?
As best as she can. I don't know
You're
how
not
much
in
energy she has to do this, but she's going to try.
You're not really in a shape to move, Chris. Please.
Yeah, Chris.
Take me with you then.
Hazel turns and leaves.
Chris's jaw tightens. And she tries to follow anyway.
At that, Des darts in front of her and goes, "Nope, hold on,
Let me go. Des.
Chris.
Des.
Right now,
No.
Jesse is on the way.
Don't care.
I
I'm not
understand.
losing her. Des.
You're not losing her. She's going to get Faith. She'll be right back. If you try to leave, I'm going to have to be the one picking you up when you inevitably get hurt trying to follow her. You need to lay down until Jesse gets here."
Des. You understand, right?
Yeah.
She's like him. I am not letting her out of my sight. Not till she fixes this and not till we can fix it. I can't lose her, Des.
Eliza,
Yeah,
while this conversation is happening, are you the one who follows Hazel outside?
I think so. Like, Eliza's kind of getting back to conscious, and she sees Hazel leaving, and I think we see her eyes narrow, and she like hitches herself up and pulls herself after Hazel.
You get outside. Hazel hasn't left yet. She's standing a ways up the driveway, away from the house, as she'd promised Des. And she's looking up into the middle distance. Come on, where are you? Come on. There, okay. And she lifts her hand, and you see 5 almost bolts of white and gold streak across the sky and fall down in front of her as 5 of these monsters appear before her.
We see a shot of Eliza holding her hand at her side in the motion that she usually does to conjure her sword during her transformation sequence, and nothing happens.
Come on. You can do this. You can fix this. And she plunges her hand into the face of one of them and grabs something inside it and wrenches it out, and you hear a shriek and gold light flashes, and this monster collapses as she pulls out something roughly the shape of a human name. And with one shaking hand, she plunges it back into another and pulls it out as she collects another one, and another, and another. And she takes the ones she has collected and drives them into the last remaining creature. And slowly, the alabaster and liquid gold flows and begins to form into a shape, a face, a body, a form that you recognize. Faith's visage carved from alien matter. A golden halo floats above her head, and unlike the armor that encases Hazel's body, hers is shrouded in a dress of flowing gold. She looks up at Hazel, and then her blank, statuesque eyes look over Hazel's shoulder to you. Eliza?
Faith?
You say the name more in hope than recognition. And you look at her, and it's not her. You look at her, at this blind faith, and there is no shock of recognition. There is no bond of friendship. This is something else that is wearing her face, that has taken her very identity.
Hazel! Hazel! And Eliza is already sprinting straight at Hazel.
Hazel turns around, and her eyes are wide with hope. Eliza?
Eliza clocks Hazel right in the face.
Ah! What the fuck?
You can't have her!
What the hell, Eliza? I'm trying to help.
You took part of her. Why? How long have you been planning this? How long have you been holding out on me? And we see the grass underneath Eliza's feet starts to wither and fall to the ground, and there's dew on it in this point in the night. And the dew freezes, and frost is creeping out from around Eliza.
I've been trying to help you. Why can't you trust me even once?
Eliza points at the simulacrum of faith and says, "What did you do to her?"
Eliza, it's okay. It's me, I promise.
Then why are you... What did she do to you?
I fixed her.
Fixed?
And this, you see a flash of guilt across Hazel's expression.
There was nothing wrong with Faith.
I hurt her, but it's
She
fine
tried to
now.
stop you.
No. She was just...
She tried to stop you, and you... What, did you turn your sword on?
No, I would never. What do you think I am, Eliza?
You're just like the writer now, aren't you?
Hey, Alice. Roll
Uh-huh.
shield check against my sprint.
Oh boy.
Heck yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. Sorry, Skylin and Chris. That's a 12.
Chris rolled a 4 on the dice, plus 1 is 5. Chris ain't going anywhere.
Chris tries to sprint past Dez, and she just reaches out and her shield appears in front of her, and Chris bounces off of it.
If you won't let me go, then come with me.
And it's at this point that both of you notice that Eliza's missing.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have noticed that. Would we have heard any of the shouting?
I don't think so. It's far enough away.
Yeah, this is Chris very much just really wanting to not lose sight of Hazel here.
But you do notice that Eliza seems to have absconded while you were having this conversation.
Des looks around and like rubs her face and goes, God, I should have put leashes on you both. Okay, we're gonna go find Eliza, and then we're all gonna come back in here. We're gonna eat something together, and we're gonna wait for Jesse and Faith, and we are gonna figure out where we go next.
I'm glad
No
you see
one-
reason. Let's fucking go.
You have about 30 seconds to explain to me what you meant by fixing Faith.
She was too close. But it's fine. I was able to get all of her... I was able to get everything back, and I've put her back together.
Eliza looks up at this alabaster statue puppet that resembles Faith, and there's just such pain in her face when she does that. Faith, are you okay?
I'm fine, I promise. It's okay.
I think this is the point when Chris and Des rush out of the house.
You see this altercation. You see Eliza absolutely furious and on the verge of tears and honestly about to collapse again. You see Hazel still holding her face where Eliza had clocked her, and you see what looks like Faith carved from ivory and swathed in gold and a halo behind her head, floating just so slightly off the ground. But again, there's none of that recognition. It looks like Faith, but there's something missing.
As a note, there is a moment where Eliza isn't just on the verge of tears. Tears actually fall from her eyes. By the time they reach the ground, they have frozen into solid ice.
Chris walks slowly up to Hazel. The light promised you perfection, didn't it?
Yeah, but that's not what I want.
I know.
just want to be able to help y'all. And I can do that now.
Hazel. Hazel, don't you understand? I felt what that light offers, Hazel. It's not kind. It's not warm. It's not a savior. It's not helpful. Not when it's all you have.
And you can still use it, right? I'm not.
Chris is almost crying.
Hazel's face falls. Do we really have to do this, Chris?
You chose this, Hazel.
Yeah, I did. For once in this whole goddamn affair.
I trusted you. Not soon enough. Fuck. You can see guilt wrenching Chris's face as she remembers that it was her who asked Des to help her make sure that Hazel didn't come along again once she got hurt like that.
Hazel's face hardens.
I'm sorry. Hazel. Fuck.
Des steps up behind Chris, gently lays a hand on their back, not trying to restrain them or anything, just a reassuring hand.
Chris reaches up to Hazel's face. I spent a lot of time in that forge thinking, Hazel. You're supposed to put intention into gifts you make. My heart burned. I didn't know why. I couldn't remember why. Fuck it, I love you, Hazel. Every fucking fiber of me does. I don't want to forget that. I don't want to forget any of these other people either. Hazel, I wanted to be messy with you.
We can do that.
Then you have to let go. And be you. You deserve to be you. You saw the writer. 160 years and look what he became. Who the hell knows who he used to be? He probably loved somebody, Hazel. He probably loved somebody. I won't lose you to this. Chris swallows hard and steps back. She's shaking. Hazel.
This is why I didn't tell you. I knew you were going to freak out. I knew you wouldn't understand.
I understand, Hazel. The problem is that she looks to Eliza.
Just fucking trust me.
I did! And I want to. But the light has you now. It's not... Fuck. I trust you, Hazel. I don't trust what the light is going to do to you.
The light answers to me. Do you not get that?
And look what trusting you and the light did to Faith.
Hazel gives you a death glare. You never fucking listen to anyone, do you, Eliza? And she turns on her heel and storms down the driveway. Come on, Faith, let's go.
No!
And this visage of Faith looks at you, Eliza, and looks at Hazel. I'm sorry. And she turns and follows Hazel.
No!
Chris falls to her knees.
Des takes off to try and stop them from leaving. Lands in front of them.
Are you going to tell me off too?
She gives an exasperated gesture. You want us to trust you? Talk to us. You think you own the light? Control me, then. She gestures at herself, at the little wave of light, the aura of light that is cascading off of her. Talk to us. Convince us you're right.
Her chin inclines as she looks at you. All of you talk such a big fucking game about trying to protect me, and you're so worried about me getting hurt, but suddenly, the moment that I can keep up with you, that's a bad thing. Just let me fight. That's the one thing I've wanted to do from the start. And she's going to try to sway you. That is a partial success.
Love it.
So you shift 1 point toward light.
We see the aura around her grow even brighter. Hazel. I'm sorry. We shouldn't have benched you. That was a mistake. But this isn't us saying, well, now that she's as strong as us, we have to put her down. Look at Eliza and Chris. You can see how battered and beaten they are. And that's not because we benched you. It's because someone just like you did that to them.
He is nothing like me.
Prove it to us.
She gives you this incredulous look.
Give it up. I'll tell you what. I will make you a deal. You give it up and give up this power that you think you're in control of. And I will too. I'll never transform again.
You never wanted to be this in the first place.
I do now.
Some trade.
Some trade. I can help people like this. I get to protect people, even people who don't want to be protected. And you don't want to be protected, that's fine. But this is something I want. She gestures at her outfit. I can use these powers to help the people I love. And no matter how bad it gets, that's what my powers are good for. She gestures at Faith. What about yours?
I can fix people. I told you that already. When things are broken, I can repair them. What about this do you not get? Why are you so set against me being able to help in any way? And she just seethes for a moment, and then she just pushes past you and keeps walking.
How is this helping?
She doesn't listen.
I think In the driveway, Chris has sat down next to Eliza and just pulled her into a hug.
Eliza has never felt this cold before.
Hot stuff, your temperature's running wrong.
She's gone. They're both gone. Tilly's gone. Everything's fucking gone.
Chris doesn't answer. He just sobs right with you.
And I think that's a good place for us to end this episode. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. Thank you to my players. I hope to see you next time. Have a good night. Thank you again for joining us on this adventure. With Conviction is a production of Silver Maiden Games. If you would like to play Conviction, check out the game at silvermaidengames.itch.io. Music for the intro and outro of this podcast is A Soul with Conviction by Doom Vega, who you can find on Bandcamp. Music within the episodes is by Rachel Rose Mitchell, who you can find on Bandcamp and Spotify. All rights to the music are retained by their original artist. Production and editing are done by myself and the With Conviction cast. Thank you all. This would not be what it is without you. You can find this podcast on Spotify and YouTube or silvermaidengames.wordpress.com. You can also find more about the game, podcast, and ways to contact us at silvermaidengames.wordpress.com.